today. I'm going to do my best. So I would just like to welcome everybody as well as our guests today. So I officially am calling this meeting to order. And then, Mr. Ryan, would you like to do our invocation?
God, and dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this board. Thank you for the office and all our inspectors that in the field today. But most of all, thank you for our guests here with us. Let us be productive in what we do for you. In your name, amen.
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 Jennifer Reed, absent. Nicole Godin,
Present.
Renee Bosworth,
Present.
Brittany Petrie,
Present.
Raymond Cozy,
Present.
Lauren Quinlan, and Kate Holmes. 6 board members present, 1 absent, and there is a quorum.
And did everybody get a chance to glance at the agenda?
I make a motion to accept the revised agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So then the disposition of our board meeting minutes from August. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the August board meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and then we have a guest today, Ms. Chastity Mangler. Is she here this morning?
She did call and said she was running a little late, probably about 9:15.
Okay. We'll just come back to her in a little bit. Consent agreements.
Yes, good morning. I know.
You move seats a little bit.
Okay, so the first one we have is for Ms. Renisha Simmons. This is a violation from August 4th, 2025. There are 2 violations, failing to register her salon prior to opening, and then failure to renew her personal license for 5 years. We entered into a consent agreement where she paid a fine of $200 per violation, so a total of $400 plus cost of $450 for a total of $850. She has paid the fines and has signed the consent agreement. The next 2 go together. We have Sunshine Nails and Ann Cow. This is a violation from August 6th, 2024 for having a wax pot in a manicuring salon. The salon and the individual both paid a fine of $200 plus cost of $450 for a total of $650 each. So together that's $1,300, and they agreed to a 1-year probation. They have signed the consent and paid the fine. The next one is Haneen Abu Khalil. This is a violation from November 16th, 2023 for operating an unregistered salon. She agreed to enter into a consent agreement by paying a fine of $200 plus cost of $350 for a total of $550. This is one that had been offered before the costs were increased to $450, so that's why the costs on this one are $350. And so the total that she paid is $550 plus the 1-year probation. The next 2 go together, Carmen and Santos Salon and Adenia Villanueva. This is a violation from March 12th, 2025 for having an unlicensed individual performing waxing services inside the salon. The salon and the individual owner each entered into a consent agreement where they paid a fine of $200 plus cost of $450 for a total of $650. So the 2 together is $1,300 total plus the 1-year probation. They have signed the consent and paid the fine. The next two go together. Nail Art and Mr. Tran. The violation is from July 8th, 2025 for having an unlicensed worker providing services in the salon. They each agreed to enter into a consent agreement where they paid a fine of $200 plus cost of $450 for a total of $650 each. And they agreed to the 1-year probation, and they have signed the consents and paid the fine. The next two go together. This is LA Nails and Mr. Nguyen. The violation is from February 27th, 2025 for having an unlicensed worker in the salon. They each agreed to a consent where they pay a fine of $200 plus $450 in costs for a total of $650 each. They also agreed to the 1-year probation. They have signed the consents and paid the fine. The next three go together. Hannah Nguyen owns 2 salons, H2K and H2K number 2, and each of those salons had violations. So H2K had a violation on March 19, 2024. H2K number 2 had a violation on April 9th, 2024, and both of those violations were for having an unlicensed worker. So Ms. Nguyen had her consent agreement. Of course, she's the owner of both salons, so she was cited personally for both of those violations. So she has a consent agreement where she paid a fine of $200 per violation, so $400 plus the cost of $450 for a total of $850. And because she had 2 violations on her license, she has a 2-year probationary period rather than the 1 year. And then the salons, H2K and H2K2, each had the 1 violation, and so they each paid a fine of $200 plus the cost of $450, and each had a 1-year violation. The next one is Who Dat Nails 2. This is a violation from February 27th, 2025 for failing to properly register the salon with the board. They entered into a consent agreement where they paid a fine of $200 plus $450 in costs for a total of $650. And they agreed to the 1-year probation. They have signed the consent and paid the fine. And then the last 2 go together. This is City Nails and Facial and Non-Tan. And this is a violation from June 26, 2025 for having an unlicensed worker. They each entered into a consent agreement where they paid a fine of $200 plus $450 in costs for a total of $650 each. And they agreed to the 1-year probation. They have signed the consents and paid the fines. And that is all.
Thank you.
I make a motion to accept the consent agreements.
All in favor? Any opposed? We're moving into the declaratory order.
Sorry, I'm going to kiss myself. It's a complicated ages. I mean, I don't know.
I don't believe this letter was in your packet, so I'm just gonna read it. And I know some of the board members are, might not be familiar with this process. This is a letter from the Pelican Institute, who I see is represented here today. So I'm gonna let them do their presentation, but they wrote to follow up on a petition for declaratory order that was dated September 18, 2024. It's been on our agenda multiple times. there were actually 5 licensees that requested the same order. The licensees' names: Amy Cao, Linda Ho, Hien Huang, Jan Thao Nguyen, and Vic Dong Bo. You may recall that after we received the petition for declaratory order, we sent a letter to the Attorney General requesting an opinion, because this is not typically the type of declaratory order that the board would receive. It did not deal with the scope of practice. It dealt with whether or not particular laws or rules comply with the Constitution. And since constitutionality is something that is typically decided by the courts, we requested clarification for the Attorney General. Unfortunately, we have not received a response. The Attorney General did ask for some clarification of our request. I did send a written speak with them and also sent a written clarification for request, but I still have not received an opinion. So in a declaratory order situation, we generally allow the requester to present any argument, evidence, whatever they want to present. I was informed by Ms. Harbison, and I'm going to let her speak for herself, that they were not presenting any evidence. So I'll just maybe let her do the presentation of whatever her position is to the board to explain.
Sure, that's accurate. I really don't have a presentation. I think the letter that we sent, or what we sent last fall, speaks for itself, as well as this letter. So I don't really have anything to add. I don't want to take up your time. I think that's accurate. We've just asked to move the process along. It's been about a year.
Is there anybody else here that wants to speak on the declaratory order or the declaratory request, or any of the licensees here? So it's my legal opinion, though I am not the Attorney General, that the board does not have the authority to issue, to interpret what is being asked to be interpreted. So if the board is in agreement with that, I can draft up the order. The order is going to have to go to, because it's being issued after January 1st, 2025, and this board joined the occupational licensing review program at the Attorney General's office. Any orders that are issued have to be approved by the Attorney General's office. So I can draft up the order, and it has to be approved by them before the order can actually be issued. So I can draft up the order. Our chair is not here today, and she can, if she is okay with the order, we can send it for review, and then as soon as I get that review back, I would let the board know that it's being issued. Do any of the board members have any questions? Does anybody have any objection with drafting an order in line with what I said?
I have never seen one piece of paperwork on any of it besides this, so I don't really want to say whether, I don't even know what the declaratory order says.
So I have it with me. So they're all basically the same, but as I said, there were 5 licensees that submitted this request. It might be better if Ms. Harbison explained what their request is, because I don't want to misinterpret what the substance of the request is. Do you mind if I pull it out?
Yeah, no. I'm just asking for clarification. Is that, it's all the same, can I like read one of them?
Yes, we can make some copies. Can you make a copy for each board member? I think it was circulated, but sometime ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it in today's packet.
And I wasn't there for one.
No, you don't want to. You got to say no way.
Y'all filming today. So I'll bring my real camera next time.
I like your thing, so it's identical to mine.
If I could just briefly, the question that we presented, I just went straight to the question presented, is whether or not the individuals who we named whether they have a right to a trial by jury, rather than the board being judge, jury, and executioner for these individuals. It's do they have a right to a trial by jury under the U.S. and Louisiana constitutions? That's just the quick and dirty summary.
Okay.
And some of these violations, the licensees, the violations that we're dealing with are pretty old. One of them, the first one, which I have right here, is from 2014. So these are cases that were already adjudicated. They're not there's no pending cases with these individuals. And most of them were resolved by consent.
Okay.
So that the part of the request that might be most helpful is on page 4, the question presented. I think it's what Sarah was just relating. And then right under the question presented, there's a section called licensee's position, and that's kind of is a summary of their position. Everything that precedes, that's more background and legal concepts. Under the question presented, the question is whether the individuals or entities have a right to a trial by jury. And so my concern has been, since we received this, as to whether the cosmetology board has the authority to decide that. It's my position that that question can only be decided by a court of law. So I think that's what our Constitution requires, and I did send that information to the Attorney General's office and asked them to look at it. My recommendation would be to advise that the board does not have the authority to determine whether or not a right to trial by jury is required. My understanding is that the board has to follow the laws as written unless there's a declaration by a court of competent jurisdiction otherwise. And I'm not aware of any determination by a court of competent jurisdiction that a fine of $20 by a licensing board or a consent agreement by a licensee requires a trial by jury. And that's one of the reasons I asked the Attorney General for some information, if they had some additional information to add. Yes, I would want the board to authorize the draft of the letter, but like I said, because January 1st we joined the OLRP program, we don't really have authority to issue an order without approval of the OLRP anymore, if it impacts the licensee. So there's a form that we fill out for the OLRP, and it goes to them and would actually come back here with or without their approval. So it's kind of a process. But I can start that process if the board desires to do that. Or do whatever the board deems appropriate. I mean,
No. It's a little bit.
Agree. Go through the process.
okay. Unless there's any objection.
Couldn't hear the statement.
He said, whatever.
Couldn't hear the statement was just made.
I'll move that we wait and then the Attorney General decides the process.
So just so I'm clear, you are recommended that we wait until the Attorney General answers our pending request.
That is correct.
Not reach out to the OLRC.
Just wait.
Is there a second and a vote?
All in favor? All opposed?
I would request that it just be added to the next agenda in case we do get a response in time, and I'll just report on it as we have been. Oh, yes, please.
And then before we move into new business, I think our guest may have arrived. Is Chastity here?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Welcome. Would you like to let, tell the board what it is you have for us today?
Okay. What I have is a proposal to conduct a continuing education request. Stand up. Okay. So I would like to conduct, I'm a cosmetologist and educator, and again, I'm Chastity, but I would like to conduct a continuing education for the upcoming year. And I have the curriculum, I sent everything, the curriculum, the 2-day curriculum. And I'm not sure of what else, what other information you need as far as location. But I have everything. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
So is this, it looks like this is going to be open to instructors as well as students.
Yes.
What it looks like, is there one big session, or is there breakout sessions? Because it should be separate, in my opinion.
It will be.
Okay.
I would like first day for instructors, just so they can get their continuing education, the teaching methodologies, the 4 hours. And then the second day, I want to do something different, like kind of like a flipped classroom, to where there's breakout learning and more of a technical training the second day. So I wanted to open up the second day for students. First day, instructors only. Second day, students, because I feel like students can benefit from the technical education on the second day. So that's the plan, that's the curriculum.
So it looks like you're wanting to do this next month.
No, not next month.
It says October 27th.
I know, I had that in mind, but I just feel like since I'm just getting a date today, the board meeting, I tried to make the last one, but I guess it was too late, so I am planning for next year.
Okay, yeah, because I think there's a lot of details that need to be
Yes.
worked out here.
Yes.
I love the idea, but I definitely feel like we need to nail down some more
Yes.
details before. So this looks pretty vague.
Mhm.
I feel like for me to make a decision on this, because I own a school, I'm an instructor as well, and I'm an esthetician. I don't see anything about estheticians here. So for example, if I'm gonna close down my school like we normally do for 2 days to get our continuing ed, it has to be for estheticians as well. So it needs to be applicable, just not for hairdressers, in my opinion, and if that's the case, like it wouldn't appeal to my school.
Well, for the second day is for hairdressers. The first day is pretty much teaching methodologies, and that's for any instructor.
But we need a certain amount of hours by the state board. We already at 16 hours a year, so you would have to make it, I feel, 16 hours for instructors for it to be appealing for instructors.
It is 16. It's
But
8
Okay,
the
so
first
you're
day.
saying methodology the first day, and then more technical skills the second
The
day.
second day,
But
that's right.
instructors could do both days?
Yes.
Okay, but the students would only really do the second day?
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Makes
And I
sense.
feel like just clarity on all
Yeah,
that would be
yeah.
great.
Okay.
Yes, like I would like to see what real time is, like leading through language, what all of these are, and what is beauty enthusiast?
Let's see what you're looking at.
It's under, right under continuing education seminar, cosmetology instructors, barber instructors, cosmetology students, cosmetologists, and beauty enthusiasts. I think that if you're opening something up to people
I
to
was.
continue
I was,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, no, what does that mean now?
Beauty enthusiast, it means if you're a beauty enthusiast, if you're not a licensed person, if you just want to take the class. So I'm just opening it up, and that's on the second day. And that's if we can, if that's something I could do. If not, then we don't have to.
I think that it should be, if you're offering it as a continuing education and people are collecting hours, I don't think that it should be for people who are unlicensed.
Okay.
I think what I'm hearing is maybe if you could maybe come back with a little more detail about the curriculum, not just the schedule, like exactly what your intentions are, a little more detail of everything. And then since you have pushed it to next year, I definitely think our industry could use more, but I don't know that we have enough information here to decide.
So what kind of detail are you looking for?
Curriculum information, like.
Because
what-
I have the actual presentation, if you want to see that, the presentation. But as far as curriculum information, this is all I have is like an outline of the schedule, but I can show you the presentation if you want to see that.
I don't think we have time today on the agenda for
I brought my
that,
laptop.
but I think that if maybe just send us the curriculum to review,
Okay.
maybe, and then we can revisit it, like an outline, more details on the curriculum, who would be attending, like you're saying, if it's open to the public, that's it, you know, all, more details. Do y'all have anything to add to that, or to bring back to us? Dates, yes, who is leading the classes? Are you doing it?
I was gonna do some of it, and then I have some speakers that I was gonna appoint. I didn't put the names of the speakers in the curriculum schedule outline, but I did put, every detail from hour to hour as far as, the topics
Yeah.
in the plan.
Just their names, their credentials, more of what the topics actually are going to include, like what the topics mean. Just a little more.
Location, charging, just more details for us.
Yeah,
I'm trying to charge for that.
Okay, I have everything.
Can you email that to us? Is it
Yes,
in a form that we can just have
Yes.
email? Okay,
Yes.
sounds great.
okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're probably ready to move forward with this,
I am, and I have everything. I was constantly, I'm trying to figure out what all is needed. But I just wanted to make sure that I can move forward. This is my first time doing this, and I can do it. But again, just little small details, have a lot to do with me just having a goal, if that makes sense. Just ready, the okay to go and do it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, I think if
All
you
right.
send us the presentation,
I got
we'll have
you.
more
I got you.
clarity.
I can send it on PowerPoint or whatever.
She's just asking us if we're gonna count continuing ed hours for instructors, correct? Or it's just
Yes.
for students as well?
Yes,
That's
yeah,
not something we decide. That's up to each school, whether they accept their students. I think all that we are able to let her know is whether or not we're gonna count it for instructor continuing ed. And I think we'll be able to decide that better once she sends us the additional information that we've requested from her.
I love the teaching methodology. I think that there's really a lot more of that. So if you could expand on that, I think it'd be great.
yes.
Thank you, Ms. Chastity. You're welcome.
I have a question. In reference to the public, she said something about bringing in people that may want to have an interest in this profession, but they won't know what they're dealing with or getting into unless they're able to see these things firsthand. So you're rejecting non-credentialed people that are not licensed that can have an opportunity to at least observe. And if they come and pay for it, or whatever the charges are, it's not hurting anybody because they're not getting credentialized anyway. So it's just visitation and participation.
Right, we're not trying to teach them with the mindset of them being able to go out and charge for this, because that can't
I'm
happen.
saying, but if it's open to the public, I think it's a learning experience for anyone who wants to understand this profession in more details than what they're getting into. I think that's just an open gate for opportunity. I mean, I'm a certified instructor, and I can teach methodology because that's what I do. It doesn't have to have the profession, it's just a technique and a tactic that we use.
So I'm gonna say this as a licensed cosmetologist. If I went to a continuing education and I'm being held back by someone who doesn't have a foundation and I've paid to go to this, I would be upset with that because it's holding me back from getting my hours. There's a foundation that you get from school and you should go into a continuing education with that foundation, is how I feel. People are more than welcome to do open houses at schools for people to go and look and learn and see and do all of that, but I don't think continuing education is the place for that.
But this is independent, correct? Which means that it'll be more specific if you went to a school versus you going to a open forum
Which
that
is why
doesn't.
we asked her for more information, and we're gonna look at it when we
Yes.
get more information. We're not saying no, we just are asking her to send us some more detailed curriculum
No, I understand.
information.
I understand, but I'm just saying it's just a good tactic. There's no discrimination going to one school when you can just choose whatever school you want to go to if you decide that information is valuable that you want to get into the profession.
Darren, did you have something?
I mean, the only thing I have to say is it's about continuing education requirements for instructors. It's not about a look and learn or a hair show or anything else like that. If you want to go and do that, there's general things that are open to the public and that does pique people's interest that are beauty enthusiasts. And they can go to hair shows, but they just don't get the license discount price or an instructor discount price. But that also doesn't count towards my continuing education hours because instructional methodology is totally different. As you know yourself, since you're an instructor, you have to go and get instruction, teaching methodology specifically in that, and you have to do 16 hours of classroom management and like future professional development. You can't just do a haircut. That's a platform artist show. That's different than teaching teachers how to teach in a controlled classroom environment in a school. So I think that there has to be a clear understanding of that. It's fine if you want to teach a practical thing and teach somebody how to teach a practical thing, because that's very important. This is a technical trait, and I understand where Chastity's going with that as well. Teaching a teacher how to teach a practical thing is one of the most difficult things to do, because reading a lesson plan is a piece of cake. Anybody can do that. But really teaching somebody how to teach someone and get those aha moments is totally different. And that's where a CEU or a continuing education summit should really come into play. They can do reverse, where you teach a teacher and you have them divide into two groups and you pretend to be students and you pretend to be teachers. But I wouldn't necessarily mix real students with teachers, because that's not where my instructors are going to feel comfortable to ask questions without feeling like they would be, that's a comfort place for you to understand and continue in education. If I go into a color class and I'm talking about advanced color theory, and the whole time I have a student in the back that doesn't understand, you know, that blue and yellow make green.
A lot of stuff.
You know, that's two different learning levels is what I'm saying too. So like, if you're gonna target continuing education, target the instructors.
No, and I get that, Erin. You know, you and I worked together for years at Aveda, so I get that.
I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to him,
Oh,
so he
okay.
understands. Because I don't think, are you an instructor in cosmetology
No,
or
ma'am.
aesthetics?
Okay.
No, but let me say this.
I'm trying to just make it to where it's fun.
All right, I'm sorry, y'all.
No, and I agree with you on that.
What do y'all do now for continuing education? Online?
I thank y'all for
I'm
your,
asking a question. Is it online now?
there are different options that are available.
But online is one, right?
One of them is.
Which is just somebody talking with no enthusiasm, no voice modulation, none of that stuff. You're just reading and going through things.
No, it depends on the curriculum
Okay, I
you're
need
going
to,
through.
we need to get back to our agenda. I appreciate Chastity for coming in, and I look forward to reading the rest of your curriculum, but we need to get back to our agenda.
Can I just say one thing to Ms. Chastity, to kind of inspire her somewhat? I can kind of see what you're saying. What you could do with inviting the people who aren't licensed, certified or whatever, use that as an opportunity possibly to allow school owners to come in and use it as a career day for them. Okay.
I like that. Thank y'all. Thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to answer one question to Reverend Bill. We have an opportunity to have hands-on Louisiana State Petitions and Barbers Association, where we do give continuing education to instructors. But we make sure if students come that they are in a classroom setting by themselves. However, we do have the aha moments that we bring to the instructors that come there. And each year we are continuously building our curriculum as it's updated information that is being given to us in the hair industry. So yes, there are other options besides online.
Thank you for clarifying.
Moving into new business, we have the Louisiana compliance questionnaire. I think we had tabled it until this meeting from last meeting.
This is just, the compliance questionnaire is, if you look in the agenda, you'll find the Louisiana compliance questionnaire. This is just from the Bagel and Fist, Furman, and it is just to go along with our report at the end of for expenditures and everything for the year. And if you look at it, every question has been answered, and it's just one of those technical questionnaires that needs to be approved by the board. It's something that has been done. You've had an opportunity just to go through the checks on here to see what we've done in compliance. And it's just that we need the board to go ahead and approve this questionnaire that has been sent.
I make a motion.
question number 29, it says, we have complied with the requirements of 39-1438C. That's for issuance of municipal securities, and no securities were issued by this board.
So
that
that's a
should
no?
be, well, NA, you see the
Yeah,
last one is
okay,
NA.
thank you. Put it in the wrong place, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, we'll correct that. Okay.
I make a motion to accept the Louisiana compliance questionnaire.
Second.
Thank you very much.
All right, so our monthly financial report.
Okay, if you look in your stack there, you have two. We were able to include the month of July, and since we didn't have our meeting last Monday, we were able to put August also in your profit and loss statements.
See August, I don't see July. Is it July, in the back of this one?
It's the loose, it's the one that's loose.
Yeah, and then August is loose. That's August.
So, if you notice on here, just going through these very quickly, that on July, our total income was $168,061.01. And then we had expenses of $147,6765, and so we had a total profit in the month of July of $20,993.36. You'll remember the month before we had a $120,000 loss. All right, for the month of August, the total income was $179,297. Total expenses was $139,442.56, which leaves a net profit of $39,854.44. So we have a profit of $20,001 and $39 almost 40 for the next month. So we had two months with positive on there. So that's the two financials for the months.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Then the executive director's report.
All right.
I know you're not taking a vote, but I want to emphasize again that I thought at the end of the last meeting we had a clear understanding on this, that it would be both the income statement and the balance sheet. I heard no reference whatsoever to the balance sheet. So if he has one, I'd like to get it at the conclusion of the meeting. If not, I'll make a public records request for it, but only discussing the income statement is not, I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, and I think it's a positive move. But the balance sheet is what is critical for knowing what your liquidity position is, and as everyone knows, I got into major discussions at this last legislative hearing that the liquidity position was not being properly portrayed. And I think that getting a monthly balance sheet will help alleviate that. And I will make public records requests for it if it's not going to be included on the packages. This is the second consecutive month I've tried to emphasize that. I'm not sure why it's not happening, but I'll make a public records request for it at the end of this meeting.
Thank you.
And I hope it will be at the next meeting.
Just to let the board know on the report that we are going to establish with the inspectors that we are now able to have a small enough camera so that our inspectors can go with a camera attached, and they will be able to record every time they go into a licensed or not licensed facility, but whatever they do during the day, video and audio will be recorded so that we will be able to have, if there is a violation, it will be noted. If there is if we have a complaint against the inspector, we will be able to go back and look at that information. And Motorola has a very good camera and collection that is reasonable for us to use. We will be looking at that over the next 2 or 3 months to put in place, but I wanted to inform the board that it is going to be a very, very good thing for us to have, and that's going to help our inspectors, and it's also going to help the board if there's any indication of problems. So everything should be recorded, and it also will be the second tier of being able to note hours when our inspectors are starting lunch and when they're finished at the end of the day, although we do that already. But other than that, I just wanted the board to know that that process has been started, and Motorola has an extremely good way to do that now. Also, we are doing very well. We don't have any backlog in our testing at all. In fact, we're having some days that we really don't have many to test, rather Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. So everything is fine there. Do you have any questions about anything in particular?
Yeah, how long is the body camera's criminal record for? Like a year, 2 years, or 3 years?
Well, I mean, it will be available.
We'll have to get approval from the Secretary of State on the retention schedule. So that's one of the things that over the next few months we'll be looking at the procedures on the retention.
Yeah. No other questions? Okay, thank you, folks.
Does anybody have
Sure.
anything? Jennifer asked us to table that until
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'd like to address the board because, I mean, I was following the agenda, and it's obvious that we didn't follow it with the relocation. Then he gave something about the body camera, which is a different line item. And I noticed y'all did not approve the financials. And, you know, without the approval of the financials, then the board is not accepting what is being said by documenting that those financials were approved based on what was stated. Last month, I was unable to make it, but I had Mr. Burns come in because I had testimony concerning the report about the building costs that was formed before the Senate committee, about $1 million in building repairs, and you only have $199,000 roughly in building repairs that y'all said was $1 million. Now, I'm gonna go before Representative Butler, and I'm gonna ask her to rescind this, because this was incorrect information and data that was given under testimony. Now, you all approved it because y'all names are on the letterhead. That what they took to the Senate and what they had presented was not what we received. And so I'm just wondering, how could y'all make such a big mistake in justifying?
Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry that you are not on the agenda for today.
No, this is on the agenda. Monthly financial reports. Y'all took up 2 months, so I have a right to talk about what happened last month since y'all didn't approve it.
Sorry, you're not on the board.
None of that is on the financial reports from July or August, so it is not pertaining to that. So unfortunately, we have to move on.
Okay, well, I'll send a FOIA for the information.
Thank you for your opinion. Yes.
I want to make public comment with regard to the body cams. I'll be very brief, and I will stand up for it. As most of you know, the two major boards that I cover are this one and Louisiana State Police. As everyone knows, body cams are absolutely critical with regard to Louisiana State Police. We would know nothing about what happened in the Ronald Green matter, which I would hope every single person in this room knows who Ronald Green is. If not, let's not follow the news much. If it had not been for one trooper not turning that body camera off, namely Dakota DeMoss, we wouldn't know what happened, okay? So I think getting body cameras is a tremendously positive move for this board, which I wholeheartedly endorse strongly. But I think there needs to be severe consequences if you turn that body camera off. And since it's only going to be one inspector going in, at least with that incident with Ronald Green, at least there were 3 troopers who showed up. 2 of them turned it off, 1 kept it on, thank God. Otherwise, we wouldn't see the utter brutality that took place on May the 9th, 2019, which I hope everybody has seen that video in all of its disgusting content. If not, email me. I'll be happy to send you the entire video. But without Dakota DeMoss, who is now fired, along with the others, for what happened that night, we wouldn't know. It would be buried. So I would strongly encourage you that just because things don't go the way an inspector may think they need to go, don't hit that off button. And unless it can be demonstrated that there was a mechanical defect, obviously things do happen, but otherwise, those body cameras need to stay on from before the time you enter the premises until after you have left and completed the inspection. With that, I think that, excuse me, with that, I think this is an enormously positive move that's being made by this board, and I commend you on it, because I think it's something, as he alluded to, it's going to add a lot more transparency and hopefully protect both the inspectors and those being inspected. Because as I mentioned last meeting, some of the tactics that I've been told are they're inexcusable. The language that has been used, I would think with the camera going, that'll alter. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
And he's talking about body cams. I would like to also comment on the body cams as well. It's on the agenda, so it's something I can speak on. Because the Inspector Crawfords out there, they still exist. And they're taking the bribes and everything else from the competitors and all those things that happen. So the body cams are going to bring some transparency to some of the ill will that takes place that we know that takes place. Everybody doesn't play above the board in this industry, and we know that. And we presented that to y'all on numerous occasions. So I endorse the body cams and severe consequences with the Attorney General's office and other law enforcement agencies when they are not running, when they should be running. As he mentioned, Ronald Green, come on. We need to see transparency. The truth is what we stand for. And so I hope that this board takes this under serious consideration, that these body cams are going to add enormous protection and transparency to the ones who don't do their job correctly. And I think that's what it's going to protect. The ones that do their job, they don't have a problem. It's the ones that don't do their job.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything else before we adjourn today? Sorry, I was thinking you had already gone. Ms. Sherry, her attorney's report.
The attorney, it says attorney's report, really, my report was just related to the pending declaratory order today.
Sorry,
We have no pending litigation, thankfully.
Yes. All right, well, now I guess we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
So we're not doing old business?
That's what I just said.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, the skip over of relocation?
Oh, because our chair is not here today, we have asked to move it to the next meeting.
Okay.
I just have a quick question. Do you guys have my lesson plan? That
Schedule.
you don't have the lesson plan?
I just
'Cause
have the
emailed it.
schedule.
Okay, this might help me out a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Is this something we can copy?
Yes, you can have it.
We have to,
Okay.
Copies here right now.
maybe that was a little bit of the
gap.
disconnect,
Yeah.
because we were only
I
looking
thought I
at,
sent it.
we were only looking at a
Yeah.
schedule, not,
Okay. Okay.
she will get that to us, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
So we adjourn?